Hello, hello, and welcome again to another episode of Morning Coffee and Marketing. And today, we're going to talk about Amazon 100 years before there was Amazon. That's right. There was the Amazon store before computers. There was the Amazon store before most of the country had electricity. There was the Amazon store when people were still commuting around the country in trains because there was no planes to commute in. Now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about how the more things change, the more they stay the same. So everybody thinks that Amazon is a novel idea, and it's a wonderful idea. I'm an avid user of Amazon, even though I don't care much for Jeff Bezos. I love his business acumen. Don't get me wrong. I respect him, but let's just say I'm not a fan of a lot of his personal and political ideologies. But that doesn't stop me from buying from Amazon because, damn, they make it easy, right? I mean, they just click and oh, look, it shows up 2 days later, next day, sometimes even less in some places, not where I live because I decidedly live in a I don't know if you call the area I live actually rural, although there are some rural areas very close to it, but it's definitely at the most a suburban type area. Very small, very close network, very good old boy system around here. You get to know people, and a lot of business is done that way. And it's a great area. I love it. It's a horse capital of the world, Ocala, Florida. Anyway, so we don't have same day Amazon here, but if you're in Orlando or Tampa or Miami or Chicago or New York or Atlanta or LA or San Francisco, you probably have a lot of same day Amazons, right? Same day Amazon deliveries, which good for you. It's not worth it for me to live in those areas, but my point is that Amazon is I haven't heard the statistic in a while, but the last statistic I heard, they were responsible for, I believe it was more than half of all the e-commerce on the internet goes through Amazon, and everybody else has to split up. All the other millions of different e-commerce sites have to, take a little cut of whatever's left over. I mean, that's an unbelievable statistic. But Jeff Bezos didn't come up with this idea. I've traced it back at least as far to the early 1900s, and probably earlier than that. I should have taken a second and done a little bit of research because so I could get some exact dates before I did this video. However, I know for sure that Sears and Roebuck, the catalog company, not the big department store you see now, but the Sears and Roebuck catalog company, they were around at least in the early 1900s, and I think they were actually founded in the 1800s. But they were selling everything via catalog. It was the Amazon of their day. Or should I say that Amazon is the Sears and Roebuck of its day. You could even buy a house. You may have noticed recently I posted an ad for Sears and Roebuck, for the Sears and Roebuck catalog. It was an ad for a house in the catalog. It was one page. There was, 2 or 3 pages of copy that went with the ad, but they were selling houses via catalog. Now, think about this. When they sold the house via catalog, they had to get somebody interested enough to actually cut out a coupon and put it in an envelope along with a check and seal the envelope and put a stamp on it and take it down to the local post office, which probably was at the railroad station. And they didn't buzz down there in their car. They had to get on their horse or get in a wagon, right? I mean, cars were just coming around. Not everybody had them still. And they took them to the mail, and then the mail guy put it in a bag and put it on the train. And then when the train eventually got back, then the mail was delivered and it would get processed. And I mean, we're talking about this copy had to generate a lot of enthusiasm in order to make the sale. A heck of a lot more than clicking the buy it now button. So it's another good lesson there. But the point is this: the more things change, the more they stay the same. So I find it to be fascinating and interesting, but what you should be pulling from it is what can I do? What can I go back and look at in the history of my business, in the history of related businesses, in the history of completely unrelated businesses? What can I do and go back and look at what they were doing 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 150 years ago? What were they doing that I can now take, dust off, put a little bit of a modern spin on it because we have the internet and et cetera, put that little bit of modern spin on it, and then use in order to generate a ton of business for myself. Now, I don't know if Jeff Bezos knew that he was copying Sears and Roebuck, but I do know that he was, and it's made him the richest man in the world. Probably won't do that for you, just statistically. God bless you, go get it if you want to do that. But probably won't do that for you, but it can still make you a very comfortable living and a very rich person, man or woman. So go do that research. Get the deep knowledge about your business. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, go make some money.